Welcome to the Grow Your Practice podcast. Hi, I'm your host, Chad Madden, owner of Madden Physical Therapy and Breakthrough. Join me each week as we dive into the best practices, systems, principles, tips, and tricks to help you grow your private practice. Hey everybody, Chad Madden here with the Grow Your Practice podcast, and today we have a very special guest. Kim Bentley is a physical therapist of a private practice in Louisiana. Welcome to the podcast here, Kim, and introduce yourself to everybody.
Well, I'm Kim, and sorry, I threw that on you earlier. I'm actually in Alabama. The day that it snowed in Louisiana that we had that. But no, you're good. I totally messed you up on that. I'm in Alabama. I'm in between Atlanta and Birmingham on I-20, so about an hour each direction. So we're in that area right there. What else do you want? Just generic stuff right now?
What's your practice name? When did you open up?
Okay. My practice name is Steadfast Physical Therapy. And honestly, when we came up with the name, it was more focused on balance and being, steadfast. Then it was really hard to say Steadfast Physical Therapy. I should have practiced that before we decided to make it the name. But anyway, so we are a private practice in Anniston, Oxford, Alabama is where we're at. And we opened in August of 23. And last August of 24, we moved into a bigger space. I had to hire more staff. So that's where we're at now.
All right. So let's start with the origin of you becoming a physical therapist. So graduated 2008. All right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can you talk about when did you know that you wanted to become a PT?
Okay. To be a PT, into sports and accident prone. So I had to do PT myself in college, actually. Intramural softball sent me on my way because it tore all these ligaments in my hand. And so that's what I wanted to do after that. I changed my major. I changed schools, went to South Alabama, and went in with I don't think they have it anymore, but they had an early admission program that basically your last year of undergrad counted as your first year of your doctoral program. Instead of having 7 years, it took only 6. So that was nice, save a year of tuition. Graduated from South in 2008. We were the second DPT class coming out of there. Started an outpatient, was a hospital system, kind of covered a lot of things, acute care, wound centers, all the things. Starting salary is not super great as an outpatient therapist. My husband at the time, he's a pastor now, but he was a youth pastor then, and not the greatest salaries. I ended up going into skilled nursing because the pay was better. And I fell in love with it, and I loved the geriatric population, the neuro, all that kind of stuff that I got to do. I did that until 2016-ish. Different nursing homes, but mostly just short-term rehab. And needed a change. It takes a toll on you fall in love with these little residents, and it's hard. So I needed a break. And so I talked to some friends. One of my classmates that I graduated with had left home health and gone back to outpatient at this hospital that we were in nearby. She was like, just come back, come with me. I'm doing it again too. We both started working back at this outpatient in the hospital, which I don't know. I don't think you've ever done nursing home stuff, but in nursing home, PTs don't touch above the waist. Like everything is lower extremity, upper extremity, left alone by OT. So I had to go back and reteach myself all the things that I didn't use in the nursing home. A lot of my manual skills, a lot of my special test skills, anything with neck and back, I just hadn't used it. So I had to take a lot of courses, and I spent a lot of time doing anything I could read or watch or YouTube or anything. And then I went and took several more continuing ed and just kind of growing with that. Once I kind of got that settled, took on some stuff to be a credentialed CI for students, which I enjoy having students come through as well. Did that. And then really, I'd say with moving into private practice, a lot of that push had to do with a shift for me for pediatric care, which I would not have thought I would do. But in 2020, when everybody shut down, all the early interventions, things like that, they weren't coming to the house for the kids anymore. They're doing Zoom calls. And I don't know how, I mean, I guess Zoom call was okay for outpatient, but for like a medically complex kid and a parent who's freaked out, it didn't work well. So we started seeing pediatrics at the hospital that I was at to fill that need. And then I was back taking continuing ed courses and learning and trying to figure out what to do, and really fell in love with that. And then seeing that need in our community even after COVID was gone. There's only one other pediatric PT place. There's several that have speech and OT for our kids, but not PT. So there's a very long wait list, or people are driving to Birmingham multiple times a week with a medically complex kid, which is like an hour one way. So just a big need for that. So we opened, and we're doing both, and probably our caseload's pretty half and half. We've got 50% peds, and then our typical traditional PT as well. But that, I'd say that the kids' treatments and things like that, where I saw a need and what I wanted to do with it versus what my current place was willing to do with it, I guess kind of drove some of that.
Okay. So sounds like you took the scenic route to private practice. From that time frame from 2016 to 2023, you were looking for something. I know you had mentioned, being a CI and going down that path,
Mm-hmm.
learning and teaching yourself quite a few different things. You stumbled onto PEDS by necessity, right?
Yeah.
By need,
Mm-hmm.
filling
Right.
that servant mentality. And what happened? When did you get the urge, or when did you get the realization, like, hey, I want to open up my own practice?
Beginning of 2023, when we were on, actually took a vacation with my family. It was spring break in March. I've been kind of toying around with, one day I'm just going to work for myself and do what I want, big talk. I don't know. And it was one of those things like, well, why don't I, and talking with my husband and family, like, okay, well, I mean, what would that look like? And just kind of talking through. And so on the car ride back from, we were in Atlanta, I went on and like purchased an LLC that right there on the way home. I was like, okay, I'm in. I bought something. I've, invested some money. Now I got to do something with it. So that was kind of where I started. Then I had no idea what else to do. So then I went scouring for information, and I found Meg Business, which with Brian Gallagher. And they do like a free call, talk you through, is there something we can help you with? They have like a startup package, training, coaching, mentoring thing. So talked with him, and now after being like with you, breakthrough, some of the self-limiting stuff, right? That's what he was kind of talking me through, like, okay, why do you want to do this? Why not now? What is holding you back? And just one of those I didn't really have answers for. I knew what I wanted to do, but I just, like, I don't have any other, I don't know, background in business versus just treating. And so with his kind of prompting with that, and me really thinking through, what do I want to do? And he talked about his family and how his children looked up to him after he went into private practice, and how that was such a positive thing for his family. Because my concern, mom, wife, kids are busy. Do I have time for this? When he was talking about that, that really kind of hit home, that like setting an example for my kids of what they could do. What do they want to do? Following that. And actually, now my daughter says she wants to open a bakery when she grows up, because she's like, well, I can open a business. You did it. So that kind of, seeing that full circle, now they do see that, and they all have a stake in it. They all help build IKEA furniture and different things for the clinic, as we opened. So it's kind of been a family adventure for sure. But yeah, Meg Business really helped kind of get me started with that. As far as resources, I know we kind of talked before. I don't know if you want me to jump into any of the stuff with
Oh,
small
let,
business loan,
let
but
me let me ask a couple questions on some other things you said. So,
go ahead.
one is, the most of us in private practice, the classic story is we come out of school, we think things are going to be a certain way, we work for somebody else, we have that jaded experience, and then we say, oh, I'm going to do this different. Mine was the company that I worked for used the same East End pads on every single patient that came through, and that grossed me out.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and you alluded to it, but you didn't say it. There was a jaded experience. What was it where you were like, oh, like now's the time for me to? And what did you do? Go on Legal Zoom or something like that and buy that LLC?
Something like that. Yeah, something close to it.
Yeah. What was that?
I didn't
What
even
was
have like a address. I had to use one of those like spoofed addresses that they could like put the LLC. Like, I mean, I did it all backwards. Yeah, I mean, I am grateful for the time I was in, the outpatient I was in, but there was definitely there were roadblocks because it was a hospital based, company as far as we had to look at a hospital as a whole when we wanted stuff paid for or changed or, all the red tape things we had to go through or change or beg for, or, to where it just got disheartening to try and get new things off the ground. When we saw a need, we couldn't necessarily meet it for the patient. So, yeah, that was a big part of it.
cool. Legal Zoom we talked through. You expressed the challenge when you with Brian, and we've heard great things about Meg. What were some of the early challenges that you had, even though that you had somebody in the corner that you had to work through and overcome in opening a practice?
I mean, it definitely it gave me a starting place, right? Jumping off point. But then I don't know, in the process of trying to open that, I feel like every time I found an answer, I ended up with four more questions to, and it was like, wait, it was just like continuing to grow. And so that was a great jumping off point. There was a lot of things, but I wanted more detail than I mean, it's a program, it is what it is, but I did want more one connection, mentoring, or even just to be able to ask, like, hey, have you, who's done this, who's done that. I alluded to when we were talking the other day about like the idea of someone sharing their map, right? Like finding someone who's done what I want to do and they're further down the road. How did you get there? And how can I get there with less heartache, right? So, which is really, I would say, then where we ended up with breakthrough. But before that, I did, and I told, I think Meg, they do like an exit thing after your course, but one of the biggest resources that I did not find in any of my research through like PT private practice was through Small Business Association. They have these, I think they're called development centers. You can look on, like, I found it on our Chamber of Commerce website, and they do business classes and things, but they partner with different universities and they give you a free business advisor. All of their services are free. I went and met with this advisor multiple times. I'd already done a lot of it, before I got there, but she's like, we could have helped you get your tax ID number. We can help you with all your license, like for the city. And she helped me file for my business tax, privilege tax things, things I didn't know. And it was all free. And then I did end up getting an SBA loan and they help with that process too. I had to do a pro forma, had to get all that together, and they use retired bankers that go through your whole package and make sure that you're going to be accepted. So that right there, a free resource, and I think it's nationwide. Luckily, I have colleges that are near us that participate, but that was a huge thing to kind of give me some resource.
Nice. So you're up and running. The one thing that you said that I resonate with is every time I got a question answered, I had four more questions. Very true. So
Mhm.
then I know you did the profitability under pressure program. I believe it was in the fall. Is that right?
Yes, we
Um,
just finished December.
yeah, yeah. So you were in that class. What were you looking for when you first came into breakthrough for that? Like, what challenge were you wrestling with that you were looking for solutions?
Well, we just moved into our new facility, which obviously cost, increase as we.
Like your original facility, how large was that? What did
It
that
was
have?
about 14 to 1,500 square feet.
Okay, nice.
And then we moved into about 2,500 square feet.
Okay.
So taking on that, extra cost, extra whatever, trying to make ends meet and like, okay, we're breaking even, but okay, what else? There's things we want to do and um, trying to get profitability. I mean, it's hard. And I think I just going through like, I think it was like on Facebook, one of my PT friends had liked Breakthrough. And I was like, oh, let me look at this, and I go through down rabbit holes of things, watch videos and podcasts and things. And anyways, and so I was like, okay, well, let me see about this because I knew I needed to do some more, but I was kind of tired of doing all the research. I mean, it's endless nights of just research of Zoom calls, this, talking to this person with that. I just wanted like a direct line of question and answer stuff. So that's kind of where
Yeah. If
yeah.
you think back, was there like a financial thing that you wanted to think about? So you went from 1,400 to 2,500 and you were thinking, how do
Hmm.
I scale this
Yeah.
operation? Something around personnel, something around marketing, or just all the above?
Kind of all the above. Financial stuff for sure. Because I knew we needed.
Attention private practice owners, are you ready to thrive in 2025? Join us for State of PT, a free virtual event on February 27th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern. Spend the day with industry experts discussing the new rules of private practice growth in 2025. Secure your complimentary spot now at stateofpt.com or click on the link in the description. Now, back to the episode.
Well, I love my people and my staff, and I want to be able to provide, for them and for my own family. And so, yeah, knowing that, okay, I need to start having more come through without sacrificing care. What do we do? How do we make that happen?
And when you're saying, when you talk about the importance of individualized care, you're doing like a 60-minute appointment, one-on-one care the whole way through, especially in the peds, right?
It's 45, we do 45 minute.
Right.
And then, yeah, yeah,
But
but they're one
but
on one. Yeah.
awesome. So let's pull a couple other things apart there. You talked briefly about family, your kids looking at
Hmm.
you. You're the example. If you can do it, I can do it. And I'm
Hmm.
gonna a bakery. I think was one of the things. Most of us wrestle with that work-life balance, especially with
Hmm.
family. If you're going down a rabbit hole for 3 hours, that's time that's not with your family. How do you
Yes.
think through that? 18 months into your private practice career, and how do you balance that right now?
Some days better than others. I mean, actually,
Yeah.
like 2 weeks ago, my husband was like, "Stop doing paperwork at home," and I was like, he's gonna hate when he hears that. Maybe edit that out. No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean they've been very supportive, but it definitely, I mean it takes time. I mean, I wouldn't enter into it lightly, and I think that's something that Brian and I talked about at one point as well. Like, if you just want to be a PT, like don't don't open a private practice. Like if you just want to do, it's just not worth it. There's too much to do, and you got to drive your ship as well. And so I do. I've been trying to be better, and I try not to do documentation at home. We did actually get Prediction Health Sidekick AI stuff.
How's that work?
Um, it's going good, and it's kind of weird to get used to, but it has helped, especially with like our evaluations. Having it listen and document a lot of that for us, especially pediatrics. Can't really be typing while I have a child. A lot of times we're doing like itty bitty babies, so my hands are full. I can't write anything. So it's running and listening, and that's helped a lot. I didn't realize. I guess I didn't realize all the AI things that are out there. Of course, a lot of the stuff in the Denver course you guys talked about, and I didn't even know to use some of those things. So those have been great as well. But that's kind of helped with paperwork. But I guess knowing that it's going to be a time crunch, but at the end of the day, it's still worth it. Now, I have made adjustments to our schedule in our clinic, and all of us like coming in early. And so we we open at 7 and our last patient is gone at 4. So we're not there, 7 to 7. And there have been some patients that have called and say, well, I can't come until 5:30. And I'm like, sorry, then we're not the clinic for you, because I can't sacrifice that time, because we are still running kids to ball practice and church and things. So um, it's it's still a challenge. I wouldn't say I have it quite down on far as being balanced on that.
Yeah. But you hit on something key there. Most of us struggle with ever creating a barrier to
Mm-hmm.
say that person at 5:30. It is very easy to do the schedule creep. And I think
Mm-hmm.
over time, that's how and many of us end up, coming in at 6, leaving at 7 at night, 6 a.m., leave at 7 p.m., and then
Mm-hmm.
working over lunch or seeing somebody on the weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, I gave away my lunch break yesterday.
Yep. There you go. Still a
you
work in
know.
progress. All good.
Yep.
Okay, great. So you talk about the SBA loan, small business
Mm-hmm.
development center, working with the retired banker, right?
Banker. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. And then you started talking about your staff. I know you got so a ton of prep here. You gushed about your staff. Obviously, you're not doing this on your own. Let's recognize some of the key people in your life that help make this happen.
Well, okay, so my other PT that works with us, her name's Bailey, and we worked together at the hospital that we were at. And big one of my best friends. Actually, when I went to open,
Is this the same therapist that said, "Let's go back to outpatient at the same time"?
no, different therapist.
Oh, okay,
She's
all
back
right.
in home health now. Yeah. But this one, actually, I wanted her to open the clinic with me. Like we had talked about her, we had talked for a while, like, what if we had our own clinic? What if we did, But she's about 10 years younger than me, just was not in the place where she wanted to take that on, but was like, I'll jump with you. Like I'll go with you. So she's great. She has helped me with a lot of things. She's helped paint and put together, all the stuff. We picked up all of our office furniture from a outlet in Atlanta, and we like Sanford and Son my husband's truck all the way back. So she's usually down to do crazy stuff for that. But so that's been great. It was somewhat difficult transitioning from, my buddy to, hey, I'm also boss now. Some of that kind of worked itself out through breakthrough because we did talk through different breakout sessions about like staff and how do we talk with them and be honest and open and transparent, but not scare them. And so I when we got back from Denver, I took her to dinner and like we were able to sit down and like, hey, let's talk some stuff out. And that's helped a ton because it was hard to transition from just your, coworker to this different relationship. But she's great. And she is one of the only vestibular certified people in our like 50-mile radius. So we plug her as much as we can. Not many places will treat positional vertigo in our area. So we do that a lot. And she's great. And then I brought with us, her name's Tanya. She's our go to everyone. Like she does everything front desk. She's learning billing. She struggles like all of us with insurance. She said this morning she's going to open a university of insurance to teach people because it's terrible and it's so frustrating. But she's great. She does all the things. I don't know what I would do without her. And then in March of last year, Bailey got married, was going to be on her honeymoon. It's just me and Tanya. It's like, okay, I need help. What are we going to do? So this PTA, her name is Winter. I was like, well, I'll help you. And I was like, okay. And she was going to take time off from her job full time and come work for me, PRN for the week to help me. And then we devised a plan to pull her to us slowly.
Recruited.
And brought her to our side. So now she works for us 3 days a week and she's amazing. So it's just so two PTs, PTA, and then our front office, all things. So
Love it. Awesome. The other thing that we had talked about beforehand is So you went to a breakthrough event, just to clean this up for everybody, in Denver. So basically 2 days, 2.5 days of information. You then went through the course, 13 or 14 implementation phone calls. You're in the group, you're active, you're meeting other owners, getting solutions in terms of problems that you're solving day to day within your practice.
Yeah.
You're also using the software Breakthrough Pro in terms of marketing your services. I know
Yes.
before the call you had mentioned the ice storm or snowstorm in Louisiana, not Alabama. Can you talk about what you did with promotion to your past patient list, email, text, anything like that, and then what happened even though you had some rough weather?
Yes. So we purchased the laser actually while I was at the conference in Denver, just talking to a lot of the people, that were doing so much cash base, and just I sat next to Tony, and he was like, yeah, and he was telling me, like what he has and how good it's been and everything. And so I was like, okay. So I bit the bullet. My staff was like, what did you do? It's fine. It's fine. It's going to be great. So anyways, they got on board with that. So we started using laser, and we planned, of course, it was holidays coming up. So we didn't try and do an open house until January is what our plan was. So we used the software for emails that went out, which that already kind of had a funnel. Angel helped me do all those kind of things. The landing page that was there, social media blasting, and then the text. Actually, I think I got more response from the text campaign to past patients than anything else, because we had been sending emails, which I know, like, I get a ton of emails that are just kind of noise, but the text seemed to really, like, that's where I was getting people like, oh yeah, sign me up. So we filled our afternoon. We did it from like 12 to 5 is what we opened for, and every 30 minutes was what we tried to set up. And they were all filled by the time it came. Now that was like, Martin Luther King Day was Monday. We had it that Tuesday, but then there was this ice storm. So we didn't know if people were coming, but we called, made sure, everyone's like, oh no, we're still coming. We had a few cancel, but most people still came, and really enjoyed it. Made some nice money that day, about 2,000. About 2,000 was made that day. So, people buying packages. I did also do an incentive for that day. I gave them extra like 10% off if you buy a package today. And so they did that. And we've already had several of those come back through since then to get more treatments. And I mean, everyone's that's using it, they're like, I'll be your poster child. I'll write a review. I love it. Everyone's really raving about it. So that's been a great ad. I knew we needed cash-based services. In my pro forma way back for SBA loan, Brian had talked about you need about 20% to be cash-based services. And I do dry needling, which is cash-based, but other than that, I didn't have anything. So this has opened up a lot. That's been helpful. But yeah, the breakthrough software, we've used it for, a couple different things, reaching out to patients, trying to check on people, reactivate. We've done that as like when I went through the course and we had, homework to do, we would do. And a lot of times we ended up, picking those people back up for sure. New things had come up. So it's been helpful to utilize.
Yeah, you hit on all the key things there. Light force laser, by the way, pretty good serendipity that you were sitting beside Tony Sear.
I know,
I think,
right?
yeah, they did three. I think they have 3 units, and they did 465K last
Yeah.
year in laser sales. So 155K a unit. That's amazing. And yeah, they're doing the same thing you did, using email and text to promote for reactivations, and then also offering it to their existing patients coming through. You talked about the results. That was great. What's next for you in Steadfast Physical Therapy? You're
I
going to fill,
know.
right? You have 2,400 square feet, 2,500.
Yes.
You're going to fill the space. Probably bring
Yes.
another clinician on eventually.
Yes.
Okay.
I have one I've talked to some, but I'm not there yet to
Okay.
bring him on. But yeah, thinking that direction. Still trying to reach out and do some more other cash-based services. And I talked to some people at the Denver event about how they utilize different things. Winter, our PTA is Lana certified limp therapist. And so she can do MLD, massage, and things like that. And I forget who I talked to. I think he's from Arkansas. He had all the,
Lance Gross.
yes. And he said that they utilize MLD as a cash massage. I was like, okay, I don't even know how I would do that. What does that look like? And being able to just sit down and talk to someone, um, even like, hey, how do you document this? Like, what do you put in? That was very helpful. And then through the like Mighty Network, I've gotten connected with. There's a couple others that do pediatrics, and they've been able to send me. We've talked other things that are more specific to peds based things. That's been really nice. I mean, everyone's just open, like, hey, look at this. Well, you ask for like a copy of someone's policy on credit card on file. Like, what does that look like? And they're like, oh yeah, I'll send it to you. That kind of stuff. So the community's been really nice to have, as far as just to be able to like ask questions and find out the answer pretty immediately. I feel like everyone's fairly active in there. So
I will give you some credit here. You're an amazing student. You're not only reaching, but then you implement right away as well. So that's helping you out. Yeah, awesome job on your journey so far. Very exciting. So one final question for you. Most influential book you've ever read, could be in your private practice career or outside of personal life.
oh gosh, you didn't give me a chance to prepare for this one.
I know.
No. I don't know, but I am working through all these books that you guys keep mentioning. I just finished the negotiation book with Voss.
That's false. Yeah.
Yes, I just finished that one. And I just finished Rich Dad Poor Dad. And I bought the teen version to give to my daughter. So these are all ones that you guys mentioned and talked about. So I was like, I gotta be an adult and read these books. So so I did them, but I don't know. I'm sorry, it's a bad answer. I feel
Yeah.
like a terrible
So,
student now.
like in high school, college, early professional career, you never like,
I guess not. I'm a terrible person, I guess.
all right. Okay, fair enough. Well, this has been great for our listeners that want to learn more about Steadfast Physical Therapy. How can they find you? What's your website?
It's www.steadfast-pt.com. And we're on Facebook and Instagram, Steadfast Physical Therapy. We're on there. They can connect with us.
Awesome. Well, Kim, this was fantastic. Thank you so much for taking time out and doing this.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Attention private practice owners, are you ready to thrive in 2025? Join us for State of PT, a free virtual event on February 27th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern. Spend the day with industry experts discussing the new rules of private practice growth in 2025. Secure your complimentary spot now at stateofpt.com or click on the link in the description.